and I have my mom.
Hi.
Introduce yourself. What's your name?
My name is Christina.
And I have my sister,
Sabrina.
And today, I was supposed to be doing a Q&A today, but I didn't get enough questions for the Q&A, so we will be doing a story time. Sorry for our dog in the background. He's about having a heart attack because she's not in the room with him. But today, we will be telling you guys a story about the time I almost died. And to give you guys a little backstory, about 4 or 5 months ago, I started throwing up everything I ate. I still cannot keep no food down. And so my doctor decided to put a PICC line in. And for the people that had been following me for a while knows that I had a PICC line and then I had another one put in. So 2 days before I got really sick, I went to the hospital because my PICC line was burning me and it was hurting me and causing me pain and discomfort. And so my nurse advised me to go to the doctor and just to make sure everything was good and wasn't infected. So I went to the hospital, and basically they drew blood out of my arm, and they said, oh, well, you're fine. They took an x-ray of my chest just to make sure the PICC line was still where it was supposed to be. It was fine. They go, you're fine. You're just getting the flu, and you're being too sensitive about your PICC line. Now, I was actually the one that requested to get ultrasound of the PICC line just to make sure everything was good, nothing was wrong, because I was still kind of concerned because I've had this PICC line for at least 2 or 3 months at this point, and I've never had issues with it. So I asked them if they could just do an ultrasound to make me feel better. They did one. Everything looked fine. And they're like, the flu's going around, you'll be fine. So I go home and I tell my mom, I said, she just says, it's going to be the flu and I'll be fine. 2 days later, I wake up and my mom was like, me and my mom were supposed to get our nails done. And I just felt awful. We went and got my nails done and I went straight up to my bed and I laid down and went to sleep. And it was actually the day of my friend's graduation. My mom took my temperature. I had a 103 fever. I could not stop shaking, you guys. I was so cold and so weak. And it was the worst feeling ever. And so I just stayed home because I was like, okay, it's the flu's kicking in. So I was sick for about 3 days, and then this is kind of where they're going to jump in because I do not remember much of this. All I remember is for the past 3 days, I was running with a crazy high fever. I was shaking a lot. I didn't want to do anything other than sleep. So my mom's going to tell you now.
So I went to work at 5 o'clock in the morning. I went in and checked on Samantha. She was running a fever. She told me she just wanted to sleep, so I let her sleep. I covered her up, checked on her, went to work, came home. Usually Samantha calls me while I'm at work. She hadn't, so I checked on her when I came home, and she was like, she just wanted to sleep. So again, I covered her up, I checked her. She was pretty hot, and I just let her sleep and asked her if she needed anything. She said no, she just wanted to sleep. I all of a sudden hear this horrifying scream. I jump up. I go to the bathroom where she's at, and she's trying to rip her PICC line out. She's trying to get in the bathtub. She's all out of it. I'm like telling her, calm down, you know, and she's like, I'm hot. I want to do something. And she's trying to get in the bathtub. She's ripping off, and I'm telling her, stop, you know, and so I had to flush her PICC line. Because if anybody that knows anything about PICC lines knows you have to flush them. So I had to flush it real quick for her, and then I got her in the bathtub, and I tried to cool her down, and she wanted to get her hair wet. So then she was trying to lay down in the bathtub, not knowing what she was doing. She turned around, and I took her out. I got her out. I got a towel around her, and I screamed for my husband. My husband came in.
Which is her dad, by the way.
Which is her dad, yes. He came in, and he helped me carry her, because she's everybody knows, Samantha's very modest. So he helped to carry her into her room, and he said, call 911. Anybody that knows my husband knows he doesn't call 911 for just anything. Usually, and I was like, no, I'm just going to take her in. He goes, no, you call 911 now. So he called 911. I was taking care of Samantha, and then I walked out of the room to go get get decent, and I walked out of the room. And freaking in the process, Sabrina was in there.
As my mom told you guys in the story, is that my dad had screamed call 911. At this time, I was in my room and I was sleeping at this time. And when I heard that, I got out of my room really fast. At first, I thought Samantha had fell asleep in the bath. Just the fact there that she was already like burning up for the last 3 days. So I thought maybe she fell asleep, and plus she had the intensity to pass out. So I was just like, maybe she passed out or she fell asleep. But when I felt her, she was like super hot. And to be honest, like I already had suspicions that it was something to do with the PICC line. At first, when she first went to the hospital, what Samantha said, that she was just over dramatic about it. That they said that she was over dramatic about it. I already had suspicion that something was up with the PICC line. So did my dad, and we were like, we'll check the PICC line, and they said nothing was wrong. So going from that day when my mom left, I was with Samantha. My mom said that my dad said call 911. That's when I woke up and I went into the room, and Samantha was not herself. She wasn't acting like herself. It was more like she was having a stroke than anything else. So if you ever had someone that had a stroke, they're very confused, they're not all there, and they're going in and out, and their speech doesn't make sense or anything. But yeah, so one thing is that Samantha was very scared at one point, so I looked at her, and no one was in the room with me, and I said, Samantha, do you know who you are? And she told me no, and it wasn't like Samantha, like if I said her name, she wasn't responding at all. It was like I had to get her to look at me by acting like she was a stranger, so I said, hey, hey, hey. And I said, do you know who I am? And she said, no. And then I pointed at my mom, do you know who she is? No, I don't know, but I'm hot. I don't feel good. And she kept telling everyone, like, weird things, like she didn't know where she was. She didn't feel good. She was hot. So at that point, my mom and my dad kept coming in and checking on Samantha. Me and my mom changed Samantha, put her in, like, this her favorite sweater. And everyone was, and my mom, and I was like, she's too hot. Because when I felt her, she was like super warm. And so I was like, we need to change out of the clothes. So we changed her out of the clothes. And my mom acts like she's never changed anyone before in her life. Because she's trying to take it off. And because Samantha's arm at that point had a PICC line in it, it was hooked onto a machine. So you couldn't really get it off. So then my mom's freaking out. Which, sure, her daughter is like dying in front of her, so I get freaking out like that. But she was like, Samantha, I'm just gonna cut your sweater off. And Samantha was like, okay, I don't care. And I thought my mom, I said, you cut that sweater off, and she is not competent, like not capable of thinking straight. She's going to get mad when she does think straight. So then we call 911, and my dad's freaking out more than anyone. And no, I think that's a lie. My mom was freaking out, then my dad. Then Samantha, because she didn't know anyone at that point. And yeah, so that's basically the thing. But one thing is that Samantha puked on herself all over herself. And she puked on me, she puked on her bed, she puked on herself. I would try to change her. And I guess my parents were either getting irritated or upset because they were like, no, don't change her. It's gonna, I don't know what the thing was, but they were just like, don't change her. And then my dad got mad because I kicked him out of the room because we were changing Samantha, and I was like, Dad, leave, or at least turn around. And he's like, I don't even get that. I don't have to leave. I'm her dad. I said, you don't need to see her nudiness. And he's like, fine. And he turned around, and my mom was just like that too. So yeah, that's basically what happened. But the factor of it is that Samantha was acting weird for like those whole 3 days, but in different points of the day. But to be honest, I really did think she was either dying because, I don't know. What did you feel?
So basically, I don't remember any of this day. I remember going to sleep that night, and I remember fuzzy memories. I remember being laid on the bed and me just crying, and then I remember my mom and sister trying to change me, and then I just remember the ambulance lady rubbing my...
Do you remember puking everywhere?
I do not remember that. I remember the ambulance lady telling me that everything was going to be all right, and then, and then at one point I remember that I was laying down and I was, like, being wheeled down a really long hallway, and all I saw was white lights. And then I remember when I got to the hospital, so many doctors rushed in immediately and hooking me up to things, putting IVs, hooking me on the machines, and me being put on so many antibiotics. And then I remember I was in the hospital for 9 days. And I remember when I started becoming more coherent that my GI doctor came and spoke to me, and he said, you nearly died. And he said, if you didn't come to the hospital, when you came to the hospital, you would have probably died. And then he goes, there was an infection in your bloodstream that at some point in time, an infection got in your PICC line, which then got in your bloodstream, and then your heart pumped it through your body. And then I just remember being so angry because 2 days before this, before I got so sick, I went to the hospital. And this other hospital refused to draw blood from my PICC line. And, but I do remember, and the doctor said I was probably hallucinating or something. I remember when my mom pulled me out of my bathtub that I remember like not be, I remember just being like me laying on the floor, my mom wrapping me up and telling me being out of my body in a corner. And then I remember they said I was probably hallucinating from the fever. And I remember being in this like big field and like not knowing where I was, but I knew I was safe. And then all of a sudden I saw I was drawn to this like light. And then so I walked towards the light, and I just remember talking to this man and him telling me I had to go back. And I said I didn't want to go back because I was tired of being, anyone that's known me for a while, I've been in and out of hospitals. I've been really sick for a while. And I said, I don't want to go back. I'm tired of being in pain. I'm tired of always being in pain. I'm tired of always being sick. I'm tired of not being able to do the things that I want to do in life. And then he goes, you need to go back. Like, I have big plans for you. And so I went back, and that's when I remember laying on the edge of my bed and me just being so confused, and to not know where you are and to not know the people around you that have been around you your entire life is the most scariest thing in my world. I just remember just being so scared and not knowing where I was, and on top of that being so sick. And then so like I think the first 3 days in the hospital, I don't remember much. Like I remember when I was being discharged, that day that we thought, I was told 3 different times I was being discharged, and I would find out I wasn't being discharged, and I would cry because I wanted to go home. And I remember the first time I was being discharged, I called my mom, and I said, Mom, you need to bring me my shoes. When I came to the hospital, I was barefoot. I didn't have no shoes. And she was, Samantha, I told you, I brought you shoes. And I said, no, you didn't bring me shoes. And she was, yeah, I brought you shoes. Your shoes are in the hospital with you. And then like little things, like I've noticed that I'll have break memories, like where at a certain point I won't remember certain things. They're like, oh, we told you. And I'm like, no, you didn't tell me. And yeah.
And as a parent, that's the most scariest thing, is seeing your daughter because you think your daughter's dying in front of you. And here these doctors had told us that everything was going to be okay, and it's what caused the infection to begin with.
Yeah.
So I suggest anybody that ever has a PICC line, use your own judgment.
Get checked up.
Get checked consistently.
So I was told when I got the PICC line, so for just a disclaimer, if any of y'all are getting PICC lines or maybe getting PICC lines or have PICC lines, limit who you let mess with your PICC line, because that's probably where I got my infection. I would let my sister infuse me. I'd let my best friend infuse me. I'd let my mom infuse me. I'd let my dad infuse me.
Limit it to people.
I didn't think that there was a problem if they're wearing gloves and we were being clean. Once I got that infection, I was the only person that touched my PICC line. When you dealing with your PICC line, wash your hands and wear gloves. Make sure you're cleaning your PICC line very well.
Don't breathe on it.
Make sure you're cleaning the syringes before you attach it to your PICC line, because that is a direct line to your heart and your bloodstream. So, and I would definitely make sure that you get more educated and have your home health nurse or your doctor explain to you how to clean it. And we did it. There's no clean cut way to find out where I got the infection. There's only speculations. I had a bad TPN bag. I didn't clean it well enough, but all we do know is it was a bacterial infection. And so what my home health nurse thinks is, previous that week, we had went to Six Flags. And if anyone knows what TPN is, it's basically, it's like sugar on steroids. And it's so much sugar, it's so much protein, basically the stuff that you get from everyday eating. It's so much sugar. And when the sugar gets hot, it makes bacteria. And then so she thinks maybe when we went to Six Flags that day, that my TPN got too hot and it started producing bacteria, and then it was still pumping into me, and then the bacteria got into my bloodstream that way. So, you guys want to say anything else?
But yeah, I think going off of our family and everything, I don't know what, I kind of felt like I was losing my sister at that point.
That was actually a question we have gotten when I posted that I was in the hospital, is everyone was asking how it affected my family. So how did it affect you when I first got sick, and then after being so sick for so long, I got this infection where I was hospitalized for so long.
So, pardon my language, but when Samantha started feeling, it was actually since the day she had the PICC line in. Whether or not I know it's an infection or not at that point, I don't. But what I was saying, that I told Samantha, and I made her promise me this. You want to tell them the promise I made?
So she basically made me promise her, because you tell them.
So when Samantha started feeling really, really bad through those 3 days, I told Samantha to promise me one thing, that you can't die and you can't leave me. And I know that's not a real promise someone can make because no one has control over it. But it made me feel better. And when Samantha did have that breaking point, I literally said she's gonna die. Like, that's the end of it. Like, that's the end of her life. That's the end of she being in this world. Because at one point I did thought she had died, because the way she was laying on the bed at one point when everyone was gone, she looked lifeless. She didn't look like she had a life anymore. And I was just like, if they let her die, I'm going to be the most salty person in the world. I will be, because you can't, it feels horrible. I've had people in my life who died. I've had one of my best guy friends who died that I miss much. And I just think that it's not fair that good people have to die in order to make the world go round, or whatever the thing may be. But what I felt that day, and I'm pretty sure my mom felt the same way, was she probably thought she was going to lose her daughter.
How did you feel once once mom or whoever called you and let you know that it was an infection from the PICC line?
Oh, I got... And they put in another PICC line! What the... Sorry, pardon my language, but what the... Why would you put in another PICC line when that was the problem from the beginning? That didn't even make sense. How did you feel about that?
Okay, Mom, what was your thoughts from when I first started getting sick, when all this started, till the point I got sick, really sick in the hospital?
As a parent, you feel helpless. Here your child is that you brought into this world. You nurtured her. You had raised her, and then all of a sudden you see all these doctors, and nobody can tell us what's wrong. It's very frustrating. I was very angry because this PICC line was supposed to help, and I think the doctors should have been monitor her a lot better than they did. And as a parent, you just feel helpless. I mean, this is your baby. This is your child. And there's nothing you can do. And I feel so sorry for parents that have to go through their children being sick in the hospital. Because
that's in our life for the past couple months.
It's a terrifying feeling, It's one thing if you're ready for it. But if you're not ready for it, you were never told your child.
I don't think you're ever going to be ready for that.
But what I'm saying is, if your child
it just came out all of a sudden,
born totally healthy, and then all of a sudden they get sick, as a parent, you want to know what you can do to help your child. So then you go to the doctors and you think you're doing everything right, and then the doctors aren't perfect; they're human, so they mess up on stuff too. And that's why you have to be an advocate for yourself. You know your body better than anybody. If you feel that something's not right, or you know your child better than anybody, if you think something's not right, get a second opinion.
Yeah.
Get a third opinion. Get a fourth opinion. Whatever you got to do.
So what was going through your day when you guys called the ambulance and I was that sick? And I was just not being myself.
Very scared.
Did
I was crying. I was upset. I thought you were going to die on me. I actually am the one that rode in the ambulance with her.
I wasn't allowed to go.
Only one person was on the ambulance, I think.
So
they can see my anger.
I actually was the one that rode in the ambulance with her, and all the ambulance driver kept telling me is she's going to be okay. She's going to be okay. She was. They said that fever had caused her to be delirious to where I said she doesn't know who I am. I'm her mother. Anybody imagining that? I'm her mom. I'm the one that carried her for 9 months. I'm the one that gave birth to her. I'm the one that had her. Me and Samantha are really, really close. And for her to be like this was horrible. It was a horrible experience. The worst feeling you could ever feel. Any of your children, that's like somebody's taking your heart and ripping it out. You want your child to be healthy. You want your child to be able to live life to the fullest, I would go and I would cry myself to sleep. I would cry constantly. It's no feeling that I wish for anybody to ever have to go through.
And what was your thought process when I'm assuming the doctors called you, or someone called you and told you that was the PICC line that caused the infection?
I was angry. I was very, very angry. No, actually the doctor came in and told me when I was sitting with you, when you still weren't all there.
I wasn't all there.
Because you also went into a state of being a little baby. And you didn't want me to touch you. And it broke my heart. Because you didn't know who I was.
So what was your process?
When the doctor said that it was a PICC line, I was mad. I was like, how could you guys put this in her? How can you cause this? And then they wanted to take it out. But in order for them to take it out, they took it out. And they just said they were going to just... The doctor was awesome. The doctor that we did go to the emergency room was very awesome. His name was Dr. Sorrell. And he was awesome. He was like, we're going to treat this like there's no tomorrow. We're going to get her better. And so he just started pumping antibiotics into her. And then, but they had to do that through the IV. Well, she'd been in the hospital 9 days. She still had a couple more days of antibiotics to go.
So they put another PICC line.
So they had to put another PICC line in the other arm.
So I could go home.
And I was like, well, so I had to speak to a disease specialist, and I told her as soon as these antibiotics were out, I wanted this PICC line out.
Which we did. We got it out.
And which we did. We got it out. No PICC line. Yay.
Yeah, so 9 days in the hospital. I remember like a whole bunch of doctors always coming in my room 24/7. And the hospital is no fun, guys. Trust me. No fun, especially when you're in and out of hospitals a lot. And then when I finally did go home, I do remember they took me to the movies and we went out for ice cream because that's all I kept seeing this one ice cream on TV. This one ice cream on TV all the time. And so I told my mom, I said, I think the dinner upset my stomach, so I'm going to go take a bath. And so I got in the bath, and we don't know maybe if I got up too fast or something, but I was talking to my mom. My mom didn't want me locking the door. Ever since that happened, I don't lock the door when I take a bath or a shower, just in case I do.
No sense of privacy.
Yeah, I got no privacy, guys. So she was talking to me, and I was wrapped in a towel, and she was talking to me. All of a sudden, I felt so hot, like I was going to throw up, and the room started spinning, and all I hear is I hit the ground, and I just remember I'm screaming Samantha, and I came to, and I came to pretty fast, right? Like, probably as soon as I hit the ground, I came back. Yeah. And that scared the crap out of her. And I passed out severely 2 other times. But, yeah.
So Gatorade is Samantha's best friend.
Yes. Because I said one of the main things is probably concluding to my passing out because I can't keep anything down. So I don't have any electrolytes. I'm dehydrated.
There is something I want to say to you guys, the fans of Samantha and everything. So you guys know Samantha. She makes funny musically. She has fun and everything. I want to say in that month, she completely turned around. She was always like very snappy. She became very moody. And one thing is that when she was super sick and she passed out, it was like not only did we not know what was wrong with her, she couldn't tell us what was wrong with her. And the reason I thought it was a stroke was because me and Samantha both took nursing classes, so we know little things like that. So when I thought it was a stroke, that's why I asked the question. And the answer actually, I was surprised for her to say that she didn't know who I was. So obviously I tried mom, because she's mom. Who doesn't know, like, I feel like you would know your mom if you know her, you know. So I pointed at mom, and I was like, who's that? And she was like, I don't know, and I don't feel good. Where am I? Who are you? It was just a weird thing. And the worst part about it is that it's like you feel helpless because you can't, even if you ask her what's wrong, she'll just tell you she doesn't know. And so I think in the musically, you guys can't tell, but in that straight month when Samantha got the PICC line, her whole personality shift, like dramatically, which I don't know if that's because as soon as the PICC line was entered, that it was like manifest, like the manifest?
The infection? No, the infection.
Yeah, that it was already in there once you put the PICC line in, basically.
No.
It could have been.
No,
which
the
I'm not
infection
sure.
happened from 6 Flags.
Okay, hold on. But I'm not sure. But that's what I think. That's what everyone else thinks, is that her behavior completely shifted. And maybe it was because she had a tube in her heart. She was just irritated. But that's one thing that I do remember. But I don't know.
But I can say from going to being healthy and being able to do whatever you want whenever you wanted to all of a sudden, oh, you can't go to work. Oh, you can't go out with your friends anymore. You're confined to this house 24/7. I was lucky if I could go down the street with my parents to Walmart. I was not allowed to leave the house. And for someone that I was always going out with people, I was always going out with friends, I was always going out with my boyfriend, to all of a sudden, I can't leave the house. You're confined to your house. You have to flush this tube once a day. You have to infuse yourself for 24 hours. And then when you think you get a break from that, nope, let's put on another bag. And then Oh, now you need fluids. Oh, you can't go to work even though you want to go to work and you want to make money. You can't go to work. That is such an emotional drain on somebody. And I was so angry. And I was just like, I don't care anymore. Like, if I die, I die. I don't care. I was like, this isn't the life I want to live. I'm 19. I shouldn't be.
20.
I was 19 at the time.
At the time, yeah.
I shouldn't be confined to my house 24/7. That's not the kind of life someone should be having. And to just be like, oh, I want to go out. I want to go out with my friends. I want to go to Six Flags. You can't, because then the TPN gets too hot, and then you're at risk of an infection in your bloodstream. And then I remember just, when I came to, and they said, you nearly died. Like, you could have, if your parents didn't get you to the hospital when you got to the hospital, if the doctors that you saw didn't take action right away like they did when you got here at the hospital, you would not be here. We would not be having this conversation. You wouldn't be here. And it completely switched my perspective on life, and where I'm more thankful, like, for life. I'm more thankful for my friends. I'm thankful for my family. And I try to be a more positive person, which, I mean, you guys see that on my Musical.lys and my Snapchat story all the time, how I'm always spreading positivity to you guys. Because when you're nearly dead, when you're like, the doctor's saying, you basically died. You almost died. Like, if things didn't happen how they would happen, as fast as they happened, you would be gone. You would not be here. It completely switches how you think of life. That was the story of the time I almost died, guys. Obviously, I didn't die. I'm still here. I'm healthy. I'm fighting. I'm not healthy, but I'm fighting. And if you like this video, like this video. If you guys have any more ideas of videos I should do, comment them down below. And yeah, remember, you guys are all perfect, unique, and you guys are all loved, and you guys are all beautiful and handsome just the way you are. Never change yourself where you are. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.